Hey guys, today I'm going to go over can you lose weight with intermediate fasting without counting calories. What I'm going to go over today is the number one myth about intermediate fasting, and if you don't learn this and accept this, that it's going to be very hard to be successful both in the short term and the long term. And the second thing I'm going to go over is what you must do to make intermediate truly super effective, and it can be super effective. But if you do not do this, it's going to fail you every time. And the third thing, what you must do before you start intermediate fasting to have tremendous success. So hit number one. The number one thing that we have to learn about intermediate fasting is, and it's a myth, is that when you do things like intermediate fasting, or even like people believe this with keto too, is that when you do it this way, all of a sudden, like, calories don't matter. And here's the thing with weight loss, fat loss, calories always matter. The biggest reason why intermediate fasting can be really effective is it helps you cut calories in an easy, sustainable way, so that you don't have to deprive yourself every single day, or you're not cutting complete food groups out so that you can get into intermediate fasting. But calories still don't matter. I'm going to talk about how you don't have to really track calories if you're intermediate fasting. But again, they do matter, and we can't act like they don't. And when we accept they matter, we approach fasting in a more effective way, I would say in a more responsible way. Okay. If you like this video so far, make sure you subscribe. I have over 100 videos on fitness, nutrition, injury prevention. So if you like this video and want more, make sure you subscribe. The second thing is, this is the one thing that if you want intermediate fasting to be really effective, you have to do this. You have to play the pretend game. So what's the pretend game? So the pretend game is you have to pretend that your meal before you fast is that you're not going to fast. You have to pretend, hey, I'm not going to fast. And then the meals after, the 1 or 2 meals after you're done fasting, you have to pretend that you didn't fast. This is how it works. Is if you don't do this, you're not going to cut as many calories, and that's why intermediate fasting, it makes it easy to cut calories. Now here's what I mean by that. If you're like, hey, I'm going to fast tomorrow, so I'm going to have this big meal. You're overcompensating, you're going to eat dinner in a way, I'm just assuming dinner, but you're going to eat in a way that's going to dramatically boost your calories. So when you do the intermediate fasting, it becomes less effective, if not effective at all, if you go really overboard. Same thing afterwards. If you're like, oh, I just fast so I can eat anything I want, or I'm going to have this big dinner, I'm going to have this big lunch. Again, that's not going to work. The reason why it works is you have this big chunk of time where you don't eat, and if you don't try to compensate for that time, it can be super effective. So make sure that you pretend on the meals before you fast that you're not going to fast, and then you pretend on the meals after you fast that you didn't just fast, you just eat normally. You do this, it's going to be tremendously successful. And this is when I did fasting, this is the one thing I had to really learn, and when I learned this, my result went through the roof. So I'm curious, have you guys tried fasting before? Have you guys had much success with it? Do you kind of see how I just said can be true or not? Maybe you don't think it's true. Maybe your experience says, hey Bobby, that's not true. I would love to know. Comment below. So the third thing is that the one thing, or what you have to do in order for fasting to be successful, both long term and short term. And so there was a time where I was in a bad place. I wasn't eating very good. I was just kind of dealing with like depression. So like I just woke up one day. I was like, the first thing I need to do, I just need to get my nutrition on track. So I didn't really go on a fat loss diet, but I went on a program where I just focus on foundational things I talk about all the time. Getting used to eating protein with each meal. Always, every day, at least having 5 fruits and vegetables, drinking plenty of water, focusing on getting good sleep, de-stressing. And I did these things for months. And the summer came around, and I was like, I think I can probably do like a harder diet. So I think Brad Pilon's email. Brad Pilon is the guy who made. Brad Pilon is the guy who made like the certain type of fasting popular. And I read an article. I was like, I haven't tried that in a while. I'm going to try this. I like the idea of it. So I tried it. And what I did was I fasted twice a week. I think it was Monday and Thursday. So I'd eat dinner the night before, and then I wouldn't eat anything until about 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock the next day, depending on when we had dinner at my house. So, and all I did was I drink black coffee, I drank plenty of water, I did seltzer water. Once in a while I did diet soda, but I don't really like doing that. And that's how I fast. And the key with how I was successful with it is I just did this on days I was really busy. So I get up at 5:30. I train my clients from 6 to 8. I work out. I train more clients at 9. I go home and I do work for a few hours. And that was my life at that time. So it was very easy to get through like half the day without really eating because I was so busy. And then getting myself to from like 1 p.m. to like 4 p.m. before I had to go back to work was always the tough part. But when I did this, I was so surprised how easy it was. Because I've done this before and it wasn't easy. It was really hard. It took a lot of willpower. The fasting day sucked. And what I came to realize over time, and especially as I learned more and more about nutrition, I had built a base. I had built what we call metabolic capacity. So what that means is that you do things to improve your metabolism so that you can, it's easier for you to go on a more restrictive diet. It's easier to lose weight. You can do it for a longer period of time. So that's what I did when I spent those months really being diligent with my protein, my fruits and vegetables, my sleep, my de-stressful activities. And that allowed me to do this. And I was really successful with this. I dropped 20 pounds and it really worked well for me. And I didn't count any calories. I just focused on what I talked about with number 2. I just had to realize that I can't compensate before and I can't compensate after. And if I do that, I knew I would be successful, and I was pretty successful with this. Now, if you're going into this and you really want to be successful, I highly recommend you don't jump right into it. Spend 2 weeks to 6 weeks building some basic habits: protein, fruits, vegetables, sleep. Now, if this is you want to jump into intermediate fasting and you're like, hey Bobby, that makes sense that like I should maybe build a little bit of foundation before I jump into this. What I want you to do in the description, I have a checklist. It's called Metabolism Rebuilt. It's going to give you a step-by-step checklist to do. If you do this for 2 or 6 weeks, it's going to rebuild your metabolism, optimize your hormones, so that when you do intermediate fasting without counting calories, it's going to be super effective. It's going to be a lot easier because when you're not super healthy, diets become really hard because your hunger and cravings are crazy. When you fix and rebuild your metabolism in this way, you don't get that as much. I'm not going to say you don't get it all, but you don't get that as much. So if you're ready to rebuild your metabolism, I want you to go to the description link, download that free guide, and just step by step, at least commit to 2 weeks, and you're going to notice a big difference when you go to intermediate fasting.